What's up, everybody? This is the Booch, and welcome to episode 18 of the Boochcast reviews, Darkside of the 90s. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I am joined by the one and only, the broke soulless ginger, Mr. Zack Scott.
What's up, dude? Yes, it's me, the broke soulless ginger, Zack Scott. Gene speaking. I'm not that broke. Today, we are talking about somebody who makes the white people in this world look very fucking bad. A sexist, racist piece of shit called Rush Limbaugh.
By the way, I love the fact that ever since the MTV episode, Zach just loves to jump right into what the topic is. I've trained him well. I've trained him so well, ladies and gentlemen. See, under my tutelage, you can have this kind of skill. You can have this kind of skill, and as you now know from last week, you can have charming good looks. And soon the smile won't scare you either. But now...
Fuck you.
But yes, that is our topic for this week. And we knew we were going to get here eventually.
Yes.
And of course, we're talking about the rise of Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, Zach's not too fond of this guy. A lot of people are not too fond of this guy. I'll be honest, I didn't know too much about him until I saw this video. I did find some interesting stuff out. And of course, you know, there's quite a lot of controversial stuff, and I have a separate list for that. I don't know. Should we go through the controversial list first, or just jump right into the story?
Go, do what you I'm just here.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's tell the story, and I'll jump into the individual stuff at the end. Because I did find a list of some of the things that were deemed controversial under Rush Limbaugh. And the reason I do that is because, especially nowadays, because of snowflakes and political correctness and the fact that people get offended over fucking everything. Here's the thing. If people only got offended over stuff that was actually legit offensive, I could be more inclined to agree with the general public. But because everybody gets offended over every fucking thing, I'm the type of person where somebody said this. I need the context in which it was said before I can determine whether or not this person should be nailed to the cross, or if the people are just whiny and need to grow the fuck up. Because there are some cases where I've heard the context of certain things, and you've heard me talk about that throughout this entire series, where sometimes I've sided with the people and said, yes, this guy should be condemned. I've also went against the people and said, y'all are whiny, need to grow the fuck up. So we're going to find out together on this one, because... you know, Rush Limbaugh was a very controversial person, and liked by some, not liked by others. Apparently not by Zach. Nope. So, let's jump into this. Rush Limbaugh is one of the 90s most controversial figures. First on radio, then TV. Limbaugh attacks men, women, and even children. He'll spend the decade and beyond spreading hate and conspiracies. It's Limbaugh rhetoric that will fuel the right-wing populism that taints our politics today. Apparently. In the 90s, one man gives voice to the id of American conservatism. With his radio and TV shows, Rush Limbaugh will push together a cult following by pulling America apart. But Limbaugh's rise to become the king of blue-collar conservatism is no rags to riches story. More like riches to relatively well-off. Very Republican family. His dad was a corporate lawyer and a Republican leader. He loved to spout off his opinions at the dinner table. Okay. Before I go any further with this, I'm going to clarify one thing right now. Again, I'm waiting to see the context before I agree with anything that was written here. But let me just say this. Rush Limbaugh may be guilty of a lot of things. One thing he is not guilty of is pulling America apart. I am tired of individuals being blamed for the fact that America is divided. We've been divided.
We've been divided for years.
No. Not even years. Centuries. Do you want to know when that happened?
When did that happen?
When George Washington decided to stop being the president. Because guess what? He resigned. He wasn't voted out. George Washington was so loved and respected after America got its independence. That's why he's the first president. And do you know why presidents, with the exception of FDR, only served 2 terms? Because that's how many George Washington served. He was the president for 8 years. And then he stopped. and basically said, I'm not going to run again. And the reason he didn't want to run again was because he didn't want to be a hypocrite. Because he did not want to become like King George, who, for those who don't know, that was the King of England at the time that America beat them for their independence. And he didn't want to be the king till he died, because he felt presidents should only serve X amount of time, and then somebody new should come in, and the other person fucks off forever. And that's what George Washington did. He was president for 8 years, and then he fucked off forever. But he said one thing in his farewell address. And before I say what that is, I need to let people know. This phrase is one of the truest things I ever said, and guess what? When you know who won the pony, it came true. Right around the time Washington stopped being president was when the political parties were starting to form, because there were no parties back then. Back then, it was person versus person, and Washington won. Everybody agreed Washington should lead. He was the general who led us to our independence. He led America to its freedom. He should be the first to lead it. It made perfect sense to everybody. But this is when we started seeing the formation of different parties that we now know today as the Republicans and Democrats. And he said, and I quote, political parties will weaken the unity of the American people. The one time they don't listen to him, look where we are today. Republicans, Democrats. People either vote Republican or they vote Democrat. And I know Zach and a lot of people are thinking right now, well, there's the independent parties. Yeah, whatever. I'm talking about, these are the two main ones. If you want to be an independent and become the president, you're going to have to be fucking amazing to make that happen. Haven't found one yet that is. The only one that even came close was Ross Perot. So the fact is, ever since those two parties started, all the way back then, we've been divided. We've always been divided. I know this, okay? That's why I've always said, part of the reason I spend more time dealing with wrestling than politics is because talking about politics and finding out political beliefs is where I've lost most of my friends. I've never lost a friend arguing over wrestling. And these are people I've had angry, heated debates with. Have we not?
Oh, we have.
Have we had those arguments?
Oh, yes, we have.
Have you witnessed me with other people have those arguments?
Yes, I have.
Are we all still friends today?
Yes.
But that was it. That's what pulled America apart. That's what has always pulled America apart. It's not one individual. In fact, if you really want to look at American history, there have only been about 4 presidents that actually brought the people together. 4. Would you like to know who they are?
Who are those 4?
George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, FDR, JFK. That's it.
That's it.
They're the only fucking ones that brought people together. It wasn't Trump. It was not Obama. No matter what delusional world you live in, he sure as hell didn't bring people together. W didn't bring people together. Bill Clinton didn't bring people together. No other president besides those 4 truly united a country together. No other president united the people ever. It wasn't like before Rush Limbaugh or Trump or anybody or any of those people came along, we were all holding hands and singing Kumbaya, my Lord. No, we fucking weren't.
No, not even close.
We've always been divided. It just wasn't obvious till social media, where everybody can say what they want, except for the people that want to censor everybody, and I fuck those people. But I'm saying,
always will be.
We always will be until we can get rid of this political party crap. Until the Republicans and Democrat parties both dissolve, we will always be a divided country with different opinions and different thoughts, which is fine. What you need to do is stop throwing haterade at the other side. And I know I can be guilty of it too, but it's only because I get so much haterade thrown at me, I'm ready to clap back. But it's always a problem when I clap back, I notice.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm sorry I don't roll over and fucking die like other people. I don't work in retail anymore, so I don't have to pretend to take your bullshit. I left Home Depot, I left Lowe's, the orange and blue chains are off. Deal with it. Or go watch something else. Now I got that out of my system. He loved to spout off his opinions at the dinner table. Doesn't every parent?
Yes, that's true. I remember
everybody talks about politics at the table.
Yep.
Doesn't matter who it was. As a teenager, Limbaugh dreams of one day spinning records for a top 40s radio station. He loved radio and got a job working as a DJ, which disappointed his father. He was seen as the failure of the family. Yeah, because he wanted to follow his dream. This is the funny thing. Anytime somebody wants to go into entertainment, they're always seen as the failure of the family until they succeed.
Yes, sir.
Steve Harvey talked about that, where when he decided to quit his job and pursue comedy, everyone thought he was a fool. His family, his friends, they all thought he was stupid. Can't make no money telling jokes. Look where he is today. And he says, they all love me now. Oh, my little brother is so smart. He's so talented. Because he takes care of the family now. He even talks about, like, I got friends that went to college and got degrees. I flunked out of school. I flew them all to Cancun, Mexico last year. Paid for all they drink, they food, and their golf. Let's have you guys do for a weekend what I do on a Tuesday. He went to college for about a year because his heart's not in it, like most people. And he heads off to try and do radio. Limbaugh was a good DJ, but he was exactly the type of person who didn't listen to his boss. He would call the local pizza place, order 5,000 pizzas, and say he was the competing radio station, which would get him fired. Now, most radio people, they do crazy shit like this. So it's not like Rush is out. I've seen worse people do that stuff. They do prank phone calls. Howard Stern does them. Roy D. Mercer was the best. He would be like,
"Oh, here's more D. Mercer.
I'm gonna open up.
Come down there and kick your ass.
I'm gonna put a couple pop knots on your head."
He did the Goldberg. I was like,
"Oh yeah." The Goldberg one was hilarious. You know, you signed an autograph from a kid, and you put this like on his head, and now the markers melted into his head, and he's now got to have like brain surgeries or something. And he said, "I'm gonna need you to pay for this." He's like, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Well, I'm gonna get some satisfaction. I'm coming down there to whoop your ass." And Goldberg goes, "Are you nuts?" Like, that's how badass Goldberg is. He doesn't even get mad. He goes, "You and what fucking army is gonna kick my ass?" He goes, "Well, I ain't scared of you. I know that wrestling stuff is fake, except down in Mexico." He said, I'll show you how fucking fake it is." But here's the thing, Goldberg used to live in Oklahoma, so he knew who they were. So he goes, "This is Phil and Brent." He goes, "You fucking asshole." After getting fired from jobs across the Midwest, Limbaugh scores his first real break at KFBK in Sacramento. Yeah. He got the job because another right-wing talk show host made some sort of ethnic slur and was fired. His name was Morton Downey Jr., who later went on to have a talk show, and some of you might remember his WrestleMania appearance on Piper's Pit many years ago. He had an appearance on Piper's Pit.
I bet that went well.
Oh, he was saying a bunch of stuff to, like, trigger Roddy Piper, and Roddy's trying to be calm and professional during it. But then Morton liked to smoke cigarettes, right? And Piper said, "Look, I'm going to tell you again, don't blow no more smoke in my face." And he does it like a second time, so Piper gets so mad, he pulls out a fire extinguisher and sprays him with it.
Yeah, I remember that. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Morton Downey Jr. will soon be known for his angry antics on his late-night TV show. But in 1984, he's a loudmouth DJ talking politics on KFBK. He says something racist about a city councilman, so they fire him and replace him with Rush.
Okay, you fire one dude who's just as bad as Rush is. Yeah. Good job there, guys. God, my mother hated him. You wanna know why?
Why?
My mother is a Democrat. My mother is an atheist. But do you know where she's from and currently lives right now?
Where's that?
California. People gotta realize this. Yes, I live in Georgia, but I'm not Republican. And ask him, am I a Democrat too?
No.
What am I? I'm a person who vets his own party of me not giving a feather as fuck. Your vote does not count. It's like the professional wrestling world. They already know who's going to win. That's all.
Cool. Alright. But to appeal to Morton Downey's audience, he tweaks what he talks about on the mic. He wasn't very political at the time and didn't register to vote. So you gotta have something in common. But he decides to use these shits he has developed over the years and translate it to political conversation. So basically, he's changing up his shtick. And he has a good time, and he's doing gags and all this kind of stuff. Limbaugh's new act is heard by Ed McLaughlin, the head of ABC Radio. He got an opening at WABC, company's flagship station in New York City. He moves there on July 4th, 1988, and August 1st, he debuts nationally with Talent on Loan from God. In New York, Howard Stern has already established himself as the king of the FM dial by syndicating his show to stations across the country. And he's over at WNBC. WNBC. Because he wasn't saying the call letters right.
Yes,
a bit of a problem. Howard at the time was more focused on sex, women, and pop culture, if you can believe this shit. He talked very little politics and pushed the envelope. Yeah, basically, in other words, this was back when people actually enjoyed listening to Howard Stern. Before he went so far to the political side that people are just like, they can't even listen anymore. But yeah, this is back when Howard Stern was entertaining. Now, obviously, he couldn't do this shit forever. At some point, you do have to grow up, you do have to evolve, and you do have to do more interesting stuff on your show. But if you go too far to the political side sometimes, to the point where you're like whacked out of your mind, like a lot of people think Howard Stern is nowadays. But while Howard reinvents what morning drive time sounds like, Rush uses his midday AM talk show to do the same thing with political radio. His show was unique and fresh. It had more comedy than other shows at that time. And he had an amazing talent of connecting with his audience.
That is true, he did.
And that's the thing, he was very comedic with his show. Like a lot of political shows weren't comedic. They were like straightforward, to the point, talking about the issue, either from a conservative or liberal side, depending on the person. There's not a lot of comedy bits being done in the political world, which to me should establish right there that Rush is not out here putting on a serious goddamn show. Dude, if someone has a lot of funny comedy stuff in there, they're trying to laugh and entertain. Because that's who Rush Limbaugh used to be. But he didn't start getting into politics until he got Morton Downey's job. Because he realized, okay, this person got fired, but he did have listeners. Morton Downey didn't get fired because his listenership was down. It's because he said something so controversial about that councilman, they had no choice. He violated some type of FCC protocol and had to go. So he figured, okay, rather than come in here and try to change it up, I'm going to do a little bit of what Morton did to keep the audience. But not go to the length that he went to get fired.
True.
So that's what he's trying to do. Let me keep that audience, then put a little bit of myself into it as well, so I can grow it more. That way I'm not going to alienate the existing listeners, but at the same time, I'm going to bring them into my world. And that's a key thing. Because sometimes there's times in radio, and I know this from my time in radio, and from what I've learned of the radio business. There are times where a show gets fired, another person comes in, they're completely different, and it turns people off. Now, obviously, you don't want to be a carbon copy of the other show. But you want to incorporate a little bit of what made them good into your show to keep those listeners coming. Because they build loyal fan bases. The regular guys had a loyal fan base. Even Bailey and Southside had a loyal fan base, even though they struggled in the beginning. Everybody was still like, fuck this, the regular guys should be here. But eventually, Bailey and Southside were able to build their own fan base. Then that went kaput to where they got mad. Then it was like this Elliot in the Morning guy came in. Nobody liked him. I didn't listen to Elliot in the Morning, so I can't judge him. I'm just saying from what I saw on social media, nobody here liked him. It was not well received.
It was not.
Which probably explains why it's not there anymore. Well, mostly because Rock 100.5 doesn't exist anymore. It went back to being 99'X. He was different from other Republican DJs. Called his network the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. He's like, welcome to the Rush Limbaugh Show, the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, with talent on loan from God. That's fucking brilliant right there. I'm sorry, this is good shit. You're grabbing the audience attention right away. I have talent on loan from God. That's a fucking flex right there. I like it.
Big flex.
Because here's the thing. If you're going to go into entertainment, in order to connect with the audience, get their attention, you have to have some level of confidence in you. If you go out there too hokey-dory, they'll walk all over you. Like, you gotta walk out of there like you're a man with a 2-foot dick. Even if you secretly have a micro penis. You gotta walk out there like you got it like that. And then that brings the people in. Is the confidence, the key. Believing in yourself. You know? The story you tell yourself, as DDP would normally say. So he says, I have talent on loan from God. He kept telling himself that. That's the story he told himself, and that's what he was able to build a connection with. He put EIB-1 on his plane when he gets rich enough to buy a plane. So he puts excellence in broadcasting on his plane. That is fucking awesome. Again, that's a flex.
That is a flex.
You know? Limbaugh quickly makes a name for himself by belittling liberal beliefs. He would have caller abortions where he played a vacuum cleaner sound effect and screaming in the background while hanging up on liberal callers. And I'll get into more detail about that later because it's on that list I want to talk about. But apparently this was meant to be a comedic bit. And he was trying to signify, like, you know, what an abortion is really like. And he was trying to also generate the question of, is it taking a human life or not? And so he was trying to create dialogue in his own fucked up way. And his point, he stops them after a period of time and says they're more controversial than actual abortions. So he's making a conservative political point, but he's not lecturing on it. Sure. He's not a sermonizer. This is not a church. This is fun. So that's what he's trying to establish. He's creating dialogue. He's creating a message. He's getting entertainment, but he's doing it in a fun way. He wasn't trying to preach. He wasn't trying to say, I'm on the mountaintop of perfection. It's like, no, he was doing it for comedic purposes. At least at this time. Before Rush, conservatives complain that no one on TV or radio speaks for them, and that the mainstream media is biased against them and their values. So to have somebody like Rush Limbaugh beat them up, it was refreshing. And that's another point Zach was making earlier. I want to touch on this. Everything said there was 100% true. And it goes into something that's been an overall theme of Darkside of the 90's. Catering to an audience that doesn't feel listened to. With teen TV, it was the young teenage crowd. With black sitcoms, it was the black community. With Rush Limbaugh, it's conservatives. With the exception of Lewis Black and Jim Gossett, who I've interviewed on my show. And I opened for him a few months back at Tavern on Medlock. We become friends. He's a really cool guy. He even came out and did one of my Boochcast shows. Those are the only two political comedians that I have any respect for in comedy. I hate political comedy. I am not a fan of comedians who talk politics. I can't stand it. I don't want to watch it. Get it the fuck off my TV. Why do I want it the fuck off my TV? Because every single one of them, minus the two I mentioned, are completely biased.
Very biased.
They are. Almost every stand-up comic you know leans to the left. If a Democratic president is in office, they can't wait to drop to their knees and suck his dick. If a Republican president's there, they will shit all over him. Even if both presidents do the same fucking thing, even if both presidents make the same fucking mistakes, they will find some way to justify the Democrat president's behavior and condemn the Republican one. They're all one-sided. Even shows like The View, completely one-sided. Like, morning talk shows are like that. Most late-night talk shows, like Jimmy Kimmel. Jesus Christ, he's so far to the left. He ought to work for NASCAR. Like, it's fucking insane. Especially nowadays, if you're doing a conservative show, trying to talk to the conservative people, they want to shut you down immediately.
Yes, they do. One
of the things Jim Gossett used to always say is, try to get some conservative talk radio going. Or have a conservative radio station to hear the other side. If you're a Republican or you pride yourself on being conservative, it's almost impossible to watch stand-up comedy. Unless you're watching a comic who doesn't talk about politics. Which is good because you're actually going to laugh at those. That's why Rush was able to be so successful. He spoke to a group of people that wasn't being listened to, so they're going to gravitate to him. Because the rest of you are shunning them. When you push a group of people away and they got nowhere else to go, they're going to find somebody that speaks to them. So that's why Rush was so goddamn successful. It's like, finally, someone who's putting the liberals in their place and has a platform to do it. Hell, that's why half the time I listen to conservative stuff, because I think some liberals do need to be knocked down a fucking peg. I don't need to see conservatives getting knocked down. It's on every fucking TV show I see.
Very true.
That's why it was refreshing. There was also a peak moment in the culture wars where you've got a lot of white Christians who feel like the world has been turned upside down on them over like 20 years. They can't call black people colored anymore or women girls anymore. And it's these white conservative men who see in Rush Limbaugh a man willing to speak on their behalf. Okay. I want to jump into this a little bit. I'm saying this because I'm getting very frustrated here. Why would you want to call black people colored?
That's what they used to call them back in the day.
But here's what I don't get. Why? Just say black.
Black.
Why do you need any other word other than black?
Black.
You don't need it.
No.
They're not necessary.
Nope.
Plus, color can be used for fucking anybody.
True.
I mean, I know most people don't say about white people, but technically, white is a color. It's not a popular color in the crayon box, mostly because paper is white, but it's still a color. So as far as I'm concerned, the term color can be used for fucking any human being. But I don't use it because it's a stupid fucking word. I never understood it.
Me neither.
Just say black.
Black.
Black's all we need.
Yes.
We don't need colored. We definitely don't need the N-word.
Nope.
And I'm not saying African American. That's never gonna fucking happen.
No.
I've said it a few times, but only because I've been quoting certain things. Unless you were actually born in Africa and immigrated to America, you are not an African American. Okay? You're black. Or women, girls. Okay, that one's fucking ridiculous. Women, girls, same thing. Men, boys, same thing. If you're a woman and you're mad that somebody said girl, fucking relax. Okay? If you're black and you're mad that someone calls you colored, I'm on your side. But if you're a woman, you're mad somebody called you a girl, just fucking go take a chill pill. You don't need to fucking complain.
Or take a Xanax.
Yeah.
Feel better.
You need a Xanax. Seriously. What the fuck? And then, like, the Christians who feel like the world's been turned upside down. Well, we all think the world's been turned upside down. Hell, how many times we bitch about Gen Z? Pretty much all the fucking time.
All the time.
If you thought the world was turned upside down back then,
it's totally different.
It's topsy-turvy today.
Topsy-turvy.
In only a year, his audience swells to about 1 million people on 172 stations. His listeners soak up his lack of political correctness, and so long as he's beating up on liberals, they don't care if what he's saying is true. If Rush says it, they believe it. Which, okay, that's where you're kind of getting a little crazy, but again, the reason he was able to get so many people is because, again, he was beating up on a group that was the majority in media. And, of course, you know, people like people who aren't politically correct. You know why?
Why?
Because they're normal. No, most of the stuff that's like, it's not politically correct to say this, it's more appropriate to say this. How many people you know actually use the appropriate words in normal conversation?
They don't.
They don't! Most of the time when you hear them say it, they're either on TV or they're on radio, there's a camera in their face, and they're conducting themselves in a proper way. But when they're alone, with no cameras in their house, politically incorrect is how normal people speak. Because back then, we looked at context and not just the words coming out of their mouth. Russ isn't just loose with his facts. He's also becoming more and more diverse towards the social and political groups he targets. He made fun of liberals, gays, black people, people with HIV, women. He was viewed as a bigot who punched down on people who were less powerful than him. Okay?
Alright.
Yeah. Now, here's where I'm gonna side a little bit. Obviously, if you're on radio, you shouldn't be loose with your facts. Have your facts straight.
Yes.
Unless, if you're going to be loose with your facts, if you are going to say random crazy shit for the sake of saying random crazy shit, then at least have the decency to put a disclaimer at the very beginning of your show. Hey, the following show is based on comedic effect. Mention that this is a purely comedic show. We're not trying to present news or facts, and that we're just here for fun. If you're gonna be a radio show that's gonna be, we're about the facts, have your facts in order. Check them before you go on the air. Fact check your research. Now, back then, it was people like Rush Limbaugh being loose with their facts. Today, it's the other side is also loose and going all over the fucking place. People are loose with their facts like crazy now. Because I mentioned before, they're more concerned with being first than being accurate.
Accurate.
And that's a problem.
That is a big fucking problem.
Rush was just acting crazy, and either he had no idea that being loose with your facts can cause a problem, or he didn't give a shit. I don't know. I never met the guy.
Never would.
But punching down on people, no. I don't believe in, oh, you're punching down on people. I believe that anybody and anything can be joked about. You're not above being joked about. And if you think you are, you're an arrogant piece of shit. It's what is the joke that's being told? Is the joke itself inappropriate? But no topic is off limits.
Nope.
None. It depends on the joke and who is telling the joke. Because anything can be funny in the hands of a professional. Anything. Okay? I don't believe in that punching down on people. Fuck you. I can tell you right now, the only reason people were upset about Rush Limbaugh punching down is because he was a conservative. I guarantee you, and I dare anyone to comment below and tell me I'm wrong. I will gladly fucking challenge you to tell me that if a liberal was punching down on conservatives, they wouldn't eat this shit up like Thanksgiving dinner. Y'all, they would gobble this shit up every time. Because there's something that Rush Limbaugh says that I'm going to get to soon. I'll touch a little bit on it now. That is very true. People who believe that, oh, these certain topics shouldn't be talked about or these type of people shouldn't be made fun of, that only applies to liberals if the people being made fun of have liberal beliefs. If their beliefs are different from yours, you got no problem whatsoever watching them get kicked around. And I'll get into more of that later. Because we got more shit to talk about here. Early on, Limbaugh popularized the term feminazi. Extremely militant feminist, only 25 known to mankind, or should we say humankind, to describe any woman who's pro-choice. Something is called out for when he appears on Donahue. Now, the feminazi thing is for extremely militant feminists. Here's the thing. He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
I'll tell you why he's not wrong. Because most people, especially today especially, have forgotten what a true feminist is. If you are a woman who prides yourself on being a feminist, you are only a true feminist if your goal is equality. Your goal is to be treated the same as a man. Level playing field. That's a real feminist. A feminazi is a woman who believes she deserves more than a man, puts herself on a higher pedestal as a man, and feels like she deserves everything in the world just because she's a woman and doesn't have to put in the work to get it. I deserve everything a man deserves, but I don't have to work hard for it. Or I deserve more than a man without having to work hard for it. That's a feminazi. You are only a true feminist if you want equality and are willing to work just as hard as a man for it. That's why when Trump was asked about equal pay, he gave the best answer to that question that anybody's ever gave. He said, you make the same amount of money if you do as good a job. That's who deserves the fucking money. If I'm making this amount of money in entertainment and a woman wants to make the same as me, she needs to be on my level. You need to work as hard as me. You need to have the amount of credits that I have or more and be just as talented. And if you are, you deserve what I get. But if you're not working as hard as me, if you don't have the type of credits that I have, if you don't have the fan base that I do, then you need to take yourself back down the ladder until you do. And if you're as popular as me and you got more credits than I have and you're funnier than me, then you can go up the ladder a little bit more, and then I got to stay down here until I get to your level. That's how that shit works.
Yep.
So he might have used feminazi to describe people who weren't, but don't think for 1 second that term don't exist.
It does.
It does. Especially today.
Oh, yes, sir.
Despite increasing outrage from activist groups, Rush Limbaugh doesn't get canceled like he might today.
No, he'll be canceled within, 30 minutes or 30 seconds? Today's
30 seconds? And that's they feel like being generous.
Yeah, that's being very fucking generous.
Yeah, and instead, he's rewarded. CBS asked Limbaugh to guest host Pat Sajak's talk show, but it's a request they will soon regret.
Sajak and Vanilla White.
Now, we've already established...
fortune.
Yes.
I like to buy a vowel. E. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I was about to say, should I take a drink? How many more letters is he going to say?
A whole lot more letters, but we're not going to take it.
Exactly. So, but the thing is, that's the truth. The reason he was rewarded, though, was because people were listening, people were tuning in, And no matter how controversial he got, he never crossed the FCC line. That's why. Because one of the rules of radio back then was don't upset the FCC. That was the only rule. There was no cancel culture in the 90s.
No, there was not.
And even if there was people who protested, it was like, he did nothing morally wrong, get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. You know? Back then, you actually had to do something that was a real fucking crime against humanity in order to be taken off the air. Like Morton Downey Jr. He said something very racist about a councilman that was in bad taste. That's what got him off the air. Mm-hmm. Rush didn't do that. No matter how offensive he was, he never crossed the line. He danced over the line. He definitely danced over it. Mm-hmm. You know, he was doing the Cupid Shuffle before it became a thing, but he never crossed it. Never fully crossed it. Never violated the FCC. Never got the station in trouble. They were getting listeners, and they were getting sponsors. Sponsors weren't canceling either. That's another thing getting in trouble. If sponsors start pulling their ads off your show, that can also get you canceled. Mm-hmm. Business was business.
It was.
And Rush never fucked with business.
No, he did not.
At least not at this job. Obviously, at his previous jobs, he did some stupid shit. But he knew he had gold here, and he wasn't fitting to fuck that up.
Nope.
By 1990, Rush Limbaugh, the right-wing radio phenomenon, becomes Rush Limbaugh, the human cash machine. Along with his $1 million salary, who made $1 million fucking dollars? Limbaugh hawks an ever-growing range of excellence in broadcasting merchandise. Along with the Rush to Excellence public speaking tour, where he earns $250,000 a year off fans willing to pay for in-person jokes about what he calls libtards. So he coined the phrase libtards. That came from Rush. I never knew that.
No, me neither.
Because the first time I ever heard it was from Southside Steve when I worked with him at Radio Guys, where he would do like, attention libtards. I fucking love when he did that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The reason people would pay to go to these in-person things is because guess what? Here's the jokes I can't say on the radio. That's what makes it appealing. Because this ain't the radio show. I'm free to do here. It's like when Steve Harvey was still doing stand-up before he retired. He did a stand-up special in 2008. I have it somewhere. His opening line to everybody was, make the necessary adjustments. This ain't the radio show. Or when he did an HBO special one time, he's saying, this ain't the WB. This isn't 7:30. This ain't me and the boys. Because that was the first show he had before the Steve Harvey show.
Yeah.
He said, this ain't me and the boys. I'm going to be cussing. And he let people know the stand-up is where I can say whatever I want here. I can say things that I can't say on TV or on the radio or during my talk show. But he also saw that cancel culture was on the rise, and that's why he retired from stand-up. Because he said, I want to build this TV empire, and I'm not going to let the cancel culture take it from me.
Yeah. So
that's why the speaking engagements were great. Because that's when he's allowed to be raw, uncut, unfiltered, no FCC. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Well, if you're a Rush Limbaugh fan, you want to fucking pay to see that?
Yeah, that's true.
Now, it was $250,000 a year. That was how much he made. So that, obviously, the tickets were a good price back then. So you pay a ticket, go see Rush Limbaugh, hear what he has to say. Then, of course, you got to go back to the radio where he's under a little bit of control.
Yes, he is.
His increasingly toxic diatribes earn more and more fans. The most diehard of which he nicknames the Ditto Heads.
The Ditto Heads.
That's the name of his fan base. Just like how we have the Boochcast Nation. He had the Ditto Heads.
Yep.
We also meet Jen Senko, an award-winning filmmaker who directed the documentary The Brainwashing of My Dad. Like many Americans in the 90s, Jen's dad discovers Rush Limbaugh on the car radio during his daily commute to work. He used to be a Democrat. This is Jen's dad.
Yeah.
He used to be a Democrat until he listened to Rush go on and on about Democrats are evil, Democrats are unpatriotic, Democrats are going to just destroy the country.
I don't know about that. My mother's a Democrat. She's not going to destroy the She's not anti-military. She was in the military. Not all Democrats are bad.
No.
No, they're not.
They're not all bad.
They're not all bad.
That's why, in the beginning, when we started phrasing the Boochcast on what we do, the phrase used to be entertain, inform, and piss off the liberals.
Liberals, not the Democrats.
Well, they were kind of in that category at first. They were. I'm not gonna lie, they were.
They are.
But I have changed it recently for two reasons. One, I've actually met a few Democrats who are not psycho. They even look at the liberals today and go, "You've all lost your fucking minds." Mm-hmm. Some of them have even turned Republican to get away from these fucking psychos. And the other reason is because when I did a show in Alabama a few years back, I met some snowflake conservatives. Mm-hmm. Now, they're snowflakes on a different level. Mm-hmm. They're not as crazy as the liberal snowflakes at all, but they do exist. Yes, so that's why I've now changed it to we entertain, inform, and piss off the snowflakes. I've now changed it because of that. But I'm not going to lie, though. I have met a lot of Democrats that are evil. Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton's on that list. Nancy Pelosi. There are some Democrats who are evil. There are some Democrats who are unpatriotic. Mm-hmm. They're the ones you see kneeling during the anthem. They're the ones you see shitting on America every chance they get. They're the ones that have nothing nice to say about America. Now look.
Get the fuck out.
That, but also this. I have said this a million times before, and I'll say it again. America is not perfect. No. It has never been perfect. There have been good times. There have been bad times. Mm-hmm. There is a shady past in America.
Oh, God, yeah,
there has been some dark times. Mm-hmm. But we have made tons of progress over that time. Now, is there still more work to be done? In some areas, yes. But the reason people get so fucking angry at Democrats, mostly Democrats, that shit on America... Mm-hmm. is because you don't acknowledge the progress that we've made. You just keep looking at the problems that still need to be solved. You don't take the time in the midst of all that to at least say, okay, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still problems that need to be solved, but look at how far we've come. Look at everything that's happened now that didn't happen 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. No matter how bad you might think the country is now, it was way fucking worse 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
No matter how bad it is today, it will never be as bad as that. No, we will never get that bad again.
No, we will not.
Never gonna happen. At least acknowledge that. Once you've established that, then you can talk about the problem still ongoing. So I've always said this. If you can't name one positive thing to say about America, you are brainwashed. Right. At the same time, if you can't think of one negative thing to say about America, you are brainwashed. Mm-hmm. And if you think America is irredeemable and cannot change, those are the people who need to get the fuck out.
Yes, that's true.
Because you're whining, you're moaning, you're bitching, you're complaining, you're tweeting, your hashtags is doing fucking nothing.
Nothing.
To change the world.
Nope, just making it worse.
You're just making it worse. You're making even the people who want to support you not want to support you, and you're creating conflict where there doesn't need to be any.
True.
And most of it is happening on the left.
Very true.
I'm not saying it's not happening on the right, but the bigger problems are on the left. I've always said, there's Republican crazy, there's Democrat crazy. The difference, Republican crazy, you can manage and control. You can keep it in check. Democrat crazy, especially today, is incapable of being put in check. Because no one has the balls to check it.
That's true.
Especially the current administration. They ain't got the balls to check it.
No.
He's letting it run free, like free-range chicken. Mostly because when he's delegating, he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Mm-hmm. He can't even remember what day it is.
What time, or his birthday, probably.
The only reason he knows he's living in the White House is because he walks out the front door, turns around and goes, hey, that's a White House. That's the only way he knows. And of course, there's just the last thing. Their craziness has definitely played a role in destroying the country. People listen to him for 15 hours a week because whether you were at home or in a car, he was on your radio. Some spent more time listening to him than being home with their families. Okay, you're sick. Mm-hmm. He practically became part of his fans' lives. They practically become addicted. Now, I talked about crazies. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. There's crazies in every group. Here's where they start to form. Because there are some people that listen to Rush Limbaugh and acknowledge that he knows what he's talking about and they want to listen. There are some people that listen to the comedic bits and they're just laughing because they're being entertained on their way to work. Then you got the people who are obsessed fans. and go to this length of crazy. These are the people that are wrong. Rush isn't wrong. These people are wrong that we're about to get into. The people that are becoming addicted, the people who are becoming obsessed, the people that are not seeing the humor and looking at this as, this is the truth. These people are mentally ill.
Very true.
They were mentally ill before Rush showed up. They're definitely mentally ill after he was gone.
Yes.
He's dead and gone. These people are still fucking nuts.
Yes, that.
So understand that.
Please do.
And the number of Americans addicted to Limbaugh is growing. By 1990, his nationwide syndicated network reaches 5 million listeners.
Wow.
That's big in radio.
That's very big.
And as long as his audience continues to grow, the show's corporate sponsors don't seem to mind the vitriol. Yeah, because again, they just want to make their money.
Yeah, exactly.
They're tuning in. We're getting our products out there. We're making money. So we don't care what he says.
Nope.
Because back then, all sponsors cared about is making money.
Very true.
Look at about. We're making money. People are tuning in. They're buying our product. You need to pull this sponsor off. What are you, nuts? Crazy. I'm not pulling my sponsorship off this show.
No.
You know how much money I've made?
A lot.
Jesus Christ.
You'd be stupid.
Not unless you can find another radio station. Like, well, Howard Stern pick me up? Maybe I'll think about it. He defended the tobacco industries and the pharmaceutical companies because they were advertising on his show.
You don't see advertisements for cigarettes anymore, but you see advertisements for pharmaceutical all the time.
Yes.
And what I don't like is like, please take this pill. Warning, side effects, diarrhea, hair loss, memory loss. You could risk you're taking a heart attack. Oh yeah, one more thing. It can kill you. Yeah, I'm not taking those. No offense. There's a little, if you want to feel better, there's a little wonderful thing called a green plant called the devil's lettuce. And there's no horrible death or side effects. You know what's going to happen, Vinny, if you smoke too much of that stuff?
What?
I'm going to demonstrate.
Well, again, this is the fine line that people have to walk. And you've heard me talk about this before. They're sponsoring your show. Mm-hmm. They're allowing you to keep your job because you're getting sponsors. Yeah. Cardinal rule. You do not fuck with the sponsors. That is a no-no in radio. No matter how controversial you are, you don't get to mess with the sponsors.
Nope.
When I was on the radio, I did a joke and I had McDonald's in there. And I almost got in trouble. Because McDonald's was a sponsor of the regular guys. Like, I used to do this joke about how, because I'm Irish-Italian, people thought because I was Italian, I was in the mafia. And I told people I would never join the mob. I would never join the mafia ever. And people said, why? And I said, because I'm half Irish. And if you're half Irish, you can never become a made boss. Now, the punchline was, that would be like getting a job at McDonald's and working the fries every day for the rest of your life. You would never become the manager. What would be the point? Now, that was my punchline. Larry told me on the air, dude, you can't tell that joke. And I said, why? And he said, dude, McDonald's is a sponsor. He said, we need you to look into the microphone right now and say, McDonald's, I'm loving it. And I said, McDonald's, I'm loving it. They went ding, and they all clapped.
Yeah.
And I said, by the way, when I was in college, I ate there almost every day, so I don't hate McDonald's. Which was true. I didn't say that to cover my ass. I did eat McDonald's a lot in college. Because literally when you get off the 5 Points MARTA train, there was a McDonald's right there. They knew me so well, they typed in my order before I even stepped into the register. I would say, hi, $14.96. Not what do you want, because they knew exactly what I wanted. They took my money, put it in the bag. Here you go, sir. Thank you. And I walked to class. So I didn't hate McDonald's, but because I told that joke, I almost got in trouble because I upset the sponsor. So even if tobacco industries were hurting the country, even if the pharmaceutical companies are fucked up, if they're putting money into your show, you can't badmouth them. Because again, that would cause Rush to lose his job, which I know a lot of people out there are going, yay, we want to see him get fired. Well, he doesn't want to get fired. He's not going to do it. It would be like if we had a sponsor on our show. We wouldn't fuck with them. You know? Like, I'll be brutally honest. I've talked a lot of shit about AEW. If I got hired by AEW, I would never badmouth them on the show again. They'd be the greatest wrestling company in the world. Why? Because I don't want to lose my job.
True.
So I would bite the bullet and put them over. I don't hate AEW completely. There's just a lot of shit I don't like. But if they were sponsoring the show, or if I had a job working at AEW, whether it's a social media person or an on-camera personality, obviously I wouldn't be bad-mouthing them because I work for them.
True.
That's how that works. If somebody wanted to sponsor this show and we were making money off that sponsor, we would put them over. You know, let's say we had a sponsor for Pizza Hut. At some point in this video, we would fade to black, pop up, and you would say, "Hi, this is Vinny and Zach of the Boochcast, here to tell you guys about Pizza Hut."
Pizza Hut.
No one out, Pizza's the Hut. And then to be fade to black, and then we would just go right back to talking about Rush Limbaugh. That's what would happen if we had a sponsor. Yeah. Why? Because we promote our sponsor to get our money.
Very true.
So it's business. So
very good business. In
March of 1990, the executives at media giant CBS choose to ignore Limbaugh's attacks against minority groups when they ask him to guest host Pat Sajak's failing talk show. Ugh. Now, we talked about in Arsenio Hall already how shitty Pat Sajak was. Yes. So we're not going to get into that. Rush quickly discovers what happens when you do your bellicose act in front of a non-ditto head audience. There were protesters who basically attacked him during his show. You know, women are dying every day all over the world because of people like you.
How's it his fault?
It's not. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, before Rush Limbaugh, we always respected women. Men never treated women badly until there was Rush Limbaugh. No man ever thought about putting his hands on a woman until Rush Limbaugh.
Bullshit.
No man ever thought about cussing his woman out until Rush Limbaugh.
Bullshit.
No, people like Rush Limbaugh are not the reason women are dying every day. Plus, I like to see the statistics of women dying every day. Every day. This was an epidemic in America. This was a serious issue. It was an embarrassing moment for him because up until now, he had never had to defend his point of view. Limbaugh gives up on TV for now and returns to the safety of his 3-hour-a-day radio program. Because that was the thing. When you've never had to defend your point of view, you're not prepared for attacks and debates. Yes. Because most of the time you're in front of your audience. It's when you're not in front of your audience that you need to know what to say. And it's not easy to do. Nope. And I'll tell another story here. Because again, I have a lot of radio shit that can tie into this. In 2016, when Trump and Hillary were running for president, I got invited to audition on an urban talk show. And I was trying to get a job at this radio station. I didn't know it was practically an all-black station until I got there. But I still held my own. We had a great time. I did such a great job, they invited me back. This time, it was to cover the election. When they found out I was a Trump guy, it got everybody's attention. Because normally, when I'm the only white person in a room full of black people, I'm usually looked at as the white boy. That changed. Instead of calling me the white boy, they called me the Republican. And I'll tell you right now, I'd rather be the white boy than the Republican. Republican is way worse. Yeah. Because at least if they think you're the white boy, they go with the normal stuff. He can't rap, he can't dance, he has a small dick. I can handle those. When you're a Republican, they're thinking he's a racist. I don't need that. No. Like at one time, they had chicken like a buffet, and I ran out of napkins. So someone was over there, and I said, "Hey man, can you do me a favor? Yeah, can you please hand me some napkins?" Because he was right near the napkin, and the lady that was sitting next to me, who was a friend of mine, we became friends. She was busting my balls. She goes, "Oh yeah, hey, get a napkin for the Republican." So now they're itching to talk to me. Because they're wondering what type of crazy conspiracy Trump shit is he going to blurt out. They weren't prepared that I was ready to defend everything. It got to the point where they were interrupting me. They were cutting me off. They were trying to fight me on every issue.
No, that's never happened to you before, have you? Have it?
Oh, God, all the time.
I mean, you love to be interrupted, don't you?
Oh, yeah, it's my favorite thing. But here's what was great about it. There were 2 different shows going on. So after I got off the one show where everybody was cutting me off and not letting me explain my viewpoint, I went over to another guy who let me talk. Now, I did not change anybody's opinion in there. They all hated Trump. And they all started to hate me the more Trump started winning states. Like, remember when everybody thought he was going to get blown out of the water and it was just like red, 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 blue, red, red, yeah, red. Like, it was like he was fucking like crushing it one after the other.
Washington State, Oregon, and the big one of all, California. What's the last time California ever went red?
I don't think they ever did.
Nope.
So you pretty much know you're not getting California.
No, you can. If you're Republican, you're
not getting California.
You're not getting California.
But Trump went to all the places Hillary didn't go to. Because Hillary only went to the places that had the most electoral votes. Because that's how politicians play the game. Trump played the long game. He went everywhere and got all the necessary states to add up to his win. So after I went to the first station, I went to the other station where the guy was letting me talk. And I'm telling him about like why I voted for Trump. And I said I felt like he exposed the corruption in there and the fact that I felt like he spoke more to the people than everybody else. And the guy's nodding his head. Now, I didn't change his opinion on Trump. Everybody in there was still like not voting for him. But they at least understood they were talking to somebody who voted for Trump with a level head. I wasn't one of those crazies you see on TV. And I even said I hate those people because they make the movement look bad. Yeah. And I said before, when it came to Trump, it wasn't about black versus white or men versus women or gay versus straight. It was citizens against the government. Right. Citizens fighting the government. That's how I looked at it. I said, if you're feeling left out, I'll be the first one to tell you. Join the movement. I offer you a truce.
I mean, I don't like the government. You know that about me. Yes. Do I go out of the way to bash them? Like, nah, there's a government, they're just fucking morons. That's all they are. I was like, okay. Yeah, you're idiots. I don't like you guys. I don't trust you guys as far as I can fucking throw you.
So, and then again, the lady who I said I became friends with while we were there, she tried to trip me up again. She went, do you support the wall?
I don't support it.
And I looked and I went, I do, and here's why. And the guy that was on the DJ said, oh shit, I gotta turn the music off. Like, you know, it's not on the radio, they play background music a little bit while you're talking. He's like, I gotta turn the music off. I want to hear this shit. He pulled his fucking chair up. He's like, I want to hear this. And I told him, I said, anytime this issue gets brought up, people keep trying to dance around it. And the reason they do it, here's how they do it. Instead of saying illegal immigration, they just say immigration and think that people are against immigrants, period. And the answer is no. It's illegal immigration that's the issue. I'm all for people coming to America.
I am too.
But we want them to come the proper way.
Yes.
Go through the port of entry. Get the citizenship checks. Yes. Become legal.
Yes.
Don't
pay taxes.
That too. I said that was my biggest issue. They live tax free. They're getting a lot of free shit from Democrats. Democrats take better care of them than people in the country who actually need to be taken care of.
Very true, sir.
Like homeless people and veterans. For prime examples.
And you know, I can vouch for that. Somebody who's been homeless how many times?
More than I can count.
Yeah, more times than I can count. And being homeless sucks. It does. Especially in the cold. Ooh.
Yes. So I told them that. I said, look, you can come in, just sign the guest book on the way in. And I made it relatable to him. Mm-hmm. And I was a little stereotypical with this, but it worked. I said, it's like if you're going to the club. You know, you walk into the club, but what do you got to do? Pay the cover charge. Yes. Or they might have now some of them might have a dress code, but that's for goddamn ridiculous, and they laughed at that because I think dress codes are ridiculous. But they would tell you, hey, you can come in the club, but you got to pay the cover charge. Sure. If you don't pay the cover charge, they're not gonna let you in. Nope. Now, if you try to sneak behind the bouncer and get into the club, what are they gonna do? And he said, bouncer gonna throw your ass out. I said, exactly right. And once I said that, he literally looked at me like I'm making them think. And that's what I did. I made them think because I was ready to defend my point of view. From behind the mic, Rush can do what he does best. Spout off about feminists, immigrants, and minority groups he thinks are all destroying the real America. And his opinions soon reach the inner circles of a political group that agrees with him. Yes. So this is where Rush starts to really come into his own. Right now, he's just a shock jock political radio DJ. Yeah. This is when he starts to become the face of the Republican Party. The Republican Party decides to embrace him because he's reaching out to the audience better than they are. Because again, people are listening to entertainment more than politicians. That's also why a lot of politicians try to get celebrities to endorse them. They feel like celebrities are going to give them more attention. Which back then they did. Today, no one fucking cares what a celebrity thinks because celebrities have been humbled in ways they never thought possible. Yep. No one respects the celebrities the way they did in the 90s. No, not even. They're not looked at as gods anymore. No. Mostly because anyone can become fucking famous today. Mm-hmm. In order to be respected as a top guy in Hollywood now, you actually have to have talent.
Kardashians.
And a proven track record in order to keep people's attention. Otherwise, if you're just famous because you're famous, no one cares anymore. The Republican who embraces Rush the most is a man named Roger Ailes. Roger Ailes is a television producer and political consultant who is responsible for lots of famous ads. One of his most notorious is the Revolving Door, which is the campaign commercial for the Bush quail ticket in 1988. The ad is a not-so-subtle suggestion that voting for Michael Dukakis means black criminals get released from prison.
Oh, that's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Ah, that's fucking stupid.
That's stupid right there.
Try running that today.
Yeah.
Wouldn't last a day.
No,
that was
15 minutes.
Oh my god. Now here's the funny thing though. Bush beat Dukakis. So it kind of worked.
Did he kick his ass or was it a landslide?
I don't fucking know. I didn't read. It was 1988.
Okay.
I was a year old. I just know he lost. And Robin Williams called it. Billy Crystal told this story. When him, Robin Williams, and Whoopi Goldberg were with Michael Dukakis at a rally. And they had just done, they were getting ready for the second Comic Relief, and they were promoting it at a Dukakis rally because they're all liberals. Yeah. So they went to his thing. And Michael Dukakis, who was a moron, made the biggest mistake with Robin Williams. Now, when I say this, look at Zach's face when you realize this was a mistake. He said, Robin Williams is funny, but he's crazy. He's out there in outer space somewhere, way past the planets, right past Uranus. Now, if you know Robin Williams...
And I know Robin Williams.
That's all he needed to hear. Because Robin just... And Robin, he just goes improv crazy. He goes, your anus, my anus, his anus, everyone's anus. It's crazy. And he's doing... So Robin's trying to be funny, make everybody laugh. Michael Dukakis grabbed by the shoulder and goes, this is an HBO. Basically telling him, shut the fuck up. And Robin just goes, had that look on your face, and he goes, okay. He just steps back, and Michael Dukakis is going back and droning on. And as they're droning on and on, Robin Williams leans over to Billy Crystal, and he says, no way this motherfucker wins.
and lo and behold, the motherfucker didn't win.
Wouldn't you know who won the pony?
In 88, I didn't understand it. I was what? Who? And I was living in England with my mom and dad at the time. So I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
But yeah, and I'm pretty sure if Michael Dukakis got elected, black criminals weren't going to get released from prison. Look, Democrats are crazy, but they're not that fucking crazy.
No, they're not.
At least not back then. I don't know about today.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know about today. That might be true today. I don't know.
I don't know.
But definitely not in 1988.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
There are black criminals, but people don't understand there are white criminals just as many as there are black.
Yes. In a few years' time, Ailes will help create Fox News, the conservative wing of Rupert Murdoch's media empire. But in 1992, he's helping transform Limbaugh from a right-wing bomb thrower into a guided missile. In June of 92, he gets invited to the White House and stays in the Lincoln bedroom during his visit, which apparently pissed a lot of people off. But he got to meet with the president. Basically, Roger's plan is, I'm going to take this talent that Rush has and I'm going to hone it into something powerful. Roger Ailes believes enough in Limbaugh to bring him back to TV by creating the Rush Limbaugh Show. Learning from the Pat Sajak fiasco, Ailes fills the studio audience with loyal ditto heads. This time, they're planting people in the audience, which isn't uncommon in a talk show. Nope. I mean, sometimes people buy tickets and go in, but they're usually doing that because they don't want somebody in the audience disrupting the show or trying to make it all about them. The show premieres in syndication in September of 1992, just a few months before Clinton challenges Bush for the presidency. Leading up to the election, Rush's TV show, along with his 3 hours a day on radio, serves as one long attack ad against Democrats and the Clintons.
Oh, he hated the Clintons. I didn't hate Bill. I don't like Hillary, but I like Bill a lot better than I like Hillary.
Yeah. I hated both, but I will be honest. Since we've done Darkside of the 90's, I have warmed up to Bill a little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Not a lot. Not a lot, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Because I have seen some good things that he's done.
Yeah.
So I'll never warm up to Hillary.
Fuck no.
Fuck that cunt.
Murderous bitch.
Yes. During the run-up to the election, Clinton focuses on winning over young and black voters by appearing on shows like Arsenio Hall. Meanwhile, Bush Sr. relies on Limbaugh and attacking Clinton's military draft record. Because this is a big thing that people talked about, was anybody that dodged the draft, they use that as an attack against you. Like, oh, he ran from the war. He can't be a commander-in-chief. Like, that's how they would manipulate the system.
Ran from the Vietnam War.
A lot.
Too many.
Yeah. The only problem with Limbaugh criticizing Clinton for dodging the draft is that Limbaugh did the exact same thing, but for different reasons. Bill was against the Vietnam War, and Rush supported it but didn't want to fight. So Rush supported the Vietnam War but didn't want to fight the war, so he left.
Yeah.
So that's why people look at Rush as a hypocrite, because they think if you support the war, you should want to go fight it. And to an extent, I understand that reasoning, but at the same time, just because you support a war doesn't mean you should fight. Because here's the thing, and I say this all the time, I keep reminding people, the military is not for everybody.
Nope.
It is not something where you just sign up and go. During the draft, it was. That's because back then, they were so desperate for troops, they were drafted. It was no one willing to fight this fucking thing. Nobody wanted to go to war. Nope. Except for like a few people who did enlist. There were some who enlisted, and if you did, that was your choice. I respect it. But there were some people who didn't want to go. Like, I've supported war sometimes, but I know I'm not qualified to do it. That's why the military is strong, is because they train them to be strong. Yeah. And they said, even though we're not at war, we always act as if we are.
Yeah.
That's
Vietnam War was just one big fuck up.
It was one big clusterfuck.
It was one big clusterfuck. I support the guys who went over there, but I did not support that war. I still don't do this. I support the men who went over there too. My uncles did. I was like, my question is, why the fuck did we get involved with that bullshit in the first place?
But I'm just saying, I got no problem with people who dodge the draft. I'm not against draft dodgers. I'm not that type of person. I might be one of those people that's like, you didn't want to fight, so you ran. I didn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I don't want to fight in a war. Fuck that. I don't want to be in the military. I'm not qualified to be in the military. I'm horribly out of shape and bad eyesight. You want me to fucking shoot somebody?
Nope.
You don't want me as a sniper. I'll tell you that right now. I got 20/40 vision. Past 20 feet, I can't see shit.
Same here.
If that scope and if this lens and the scope can't cooperate with each other, you don't want me out there.
Nope.
God forbid I shoot somebody I shouldn't shoot. I couldn't live with myself. Fuck that. While Rush starts out his TV show with the same humorous political jabs he perfected on radio, it's not long before he crosses the line into petty personal attacks. And here's where the problem starts. Yep. On January 20th, 1993, Bill Clinton gets sworn in as the 42nd President of the United States. Immediately, he outlines his vision for change. We're going to ask for the rich to pay their fair share, so the rest of Americans can finally get a break. Where have we heard that before?
Too many times.
Still waiting!
We're still waiting.
As one of my favorite cartoon characters used to say, I'm waiting. Not the Hedgehog, for those who didn't know. For Democrats, it's a moment of triumph. The first time they've held the White House in 12 long years. Because of Reagan and Bush Sr. And while Limbaugh publicly decries Clinton as a dangerous liberal and a threat to conservative values, privately he celebrates. With Clinton as president, Limbaugh has the perfect target for all his grievances, and that means more listeners and more money. That's why people used to always make jokes about, like, you know, like political comics. It's like, you're going to miss George W. Bush when he's gone. Because a lot of y'all are going to stop being funny. Because now you don't have Bush to kick around anymore. Who are you going to go to? Because none of y'all had the balls to fuck with Obama.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
And then Trump came in and you all started jizzing on yourselves. It was a fucking field day. Now Biden's in office and most of y'all can't find shit to say. All of a sudden, some of y'all are still leaning on Trump because you don't want to go after Biden.
Nope. That's
why I don't like political comedy. If you're one-sided, the second your side gets in, your funniness decreases. They're dependent on Republican presidents to be funny.
Yep.
Now, there are some who've been able to survive. Like the two that I mentioned. Louis Black, Jim Gossett.
Yep.
And Bill Maher has such a hatred for political correctness, he found a way to fight out of it. I never thought in a billion years I would ever agree with that motherfucker, and oh my God. That's how bad the snowflakes are. I find myself agreeing with Bill Maher. That's when you know the country's going to shit.
If you agree with him.
Yeah. I used to never agree with him on anything. I look at my dad and go, why the fuck do you watch this? While attacking the Clintons proves to be the magic formula for attracting even bigger audiences, Rush seems willing to say anything to appease his fans. That includes ridiculing the Clintons' 13-year-old daughter, Chelsea.
Okay, dude, that's a little too far. You don't bring kids into the mix of it.
Okay. Here's the thing. Out of all the Clintons, Chelsea is the one you shouldn't fuck with. And I'm going to tell you why. She hasn't done anything to deserve it. She doesn't make political statements. She wasn't a whore getting drunk in bars. She wasn't deplorable. She was just a child following her parents around in this fucked up journey. Her dad was an imperfect president. Her mother is a massive cunt. But there's nothing wrong with Chelsea. Even when I made the joke about a while back about Chelsea being a test tube baby. That wasn't an attack at Chelsea. That was an attack on Hillary. I am saying that Hillary is so unfuckable, I have a hard time believing that Bill ever fucked her. So Chelsea was not the target of that joke. Hillary was.
Yes.
I don't want people commenting below going, you said that joke about Chelsea being a test tube baby. Yeah, the attack was on Hillary, not her. I never made jokes about Chelsea. I've never attacked Chelsea. I keep it on the politicians because they're the problem. Hillary chose to enter politics. That made her a target. But even I would say, Rush, no. Yeah. That's where you fucked up, bro. Even the supporters are like, dude, not the kid. No, you don't attack the kids.
Don't attack the kid.
It's not the kid's fault.
No, it isn't.
They're just there. Once the kid is on TV doing deplorable shit, you have no business attacking them. If the only time you see them is when they're with their parents, you shouldn't attack them. Because they're going to be on camera. Why? Because their dad's the president. The reaction from Limbaugh's critics was often just as over the top. They sent him human feces in a box and overnighted it via FedEx. But the parcel does nothing to stop Limbaugh from trash-talking the left, including making shit up if it helps to advance his anti-liberal agenda. He makes up a lie about Chelsea and her classmates having to write an essay about why they feel guilty for being white, and that his source was CBS News. CBS never said that. There was no essay, and 25% of the kids in her class were minorities. Okay. There's a lot to unpack here. First, the critics are sad.
Very sad.
We're going to send him human feces in a box. You realize after it dries up, it doesn't smell as bad, right?
Yep.
Even if you overnight it, it's going to dry up in the fucking box. So you know who's suffering the worst from that? The man delivering the box!
Yeah, if I find that out, I'll be like, this is a box full of shit. Here you go. Fuck you.
I'm saying the people you give the box to at FedEx, the mailbox person picking it up, putting it in their truck, the FedEx, the people that are putting it in their truck and sending it out, they get more of the damage than Rush does. You fucking idiots.
Idiots.
Now, this is where Rush becomes a detriment to America. When he starts making shit up. Now this is becoming a problem. Because now you're on a talk show. And as I mentioned before, he has not put a disclaimer on letting people know, hey, this is all in humor and good fun. So people are taking this shit seriously. No pun intended. Now you're causing a problem, and you're attacking the kid, which you had no business doing that. This is where I'm going to put Rush on blast. Now, the Republican Party is starting to get behind you. They are now looking to you as a leader. This is the moment, Rush, where you needed to grow the fuck up, still be entertaining, but now you need to bring in the informative aspect. It's the Clintons. You don't need to make shit up. You can attack them with the truth. It's so easy. People still make fun of the Clintons today. And it's all from the truth. You don't need to make shit up.
Nope.
Before, you were just a radio disc jockey on ABC Radio. So you could do whatever the fuck you wanted. Now the Republican Party is now behind you and endorsing you. That's when you need to take this shit seriously. The moment you start getting to that point, that's when it's like, okay, I still gotta be me, but now I gotta be a little more serious, because the more ridiculous I get, the more ridiculous it makes the party look. Because now your behavior affects the party and is affecting the voters of that party. So you can't pull stupid shit like this. He wanted to send the message that white people are oppressed, and that who are wrecking society are feminazis, the homeless, the immigrants, the gays, and the people dying of AIDS.
Yeah, blame them for all your problems. Yeah, good job.
Now, while taking cheap shots at the Clintons can be ignored as harmless political satire, The rise of the Christian right and the right-wing radical groups makes Limbaugh's rhetoric increasingly dangerous. We are about the Second Amendment and for the American people to arm themselves. And when we take over, we're going to level the IRS building. That's what they start thinking. And now this is becoming a problem. And I'm going to tell you why it's becoming a problem. Because now people are starting to do all this crazy shit. They're starting to believe. So now here's the question. Is Rush serious or is he a shock jock comedian? If he's a shock jock comedian, he needs to make it known now. Because now people are starting to take what he says seriously. Now, is Rush completely to blame for these people going crazy? No. But at some point, you step in and go, hey, I am not calling for violence. Otherwise, your message is going to get mixed up. Regardless of whatever shit I've said on this show, I have never encouraged people to go out and be violent. No. The closest I ever came to going out to violence is saying, defend yourself from violence. If someone puts their hands on you, no matter who it is, you drop that motherfucker. But I don't tell people to go out and just start hurting people for no goddamn reason. By the end of 1994, Rush has 20 million listeners on radio and several million viewers on TV. That gives him an audience similar to shows like Seinfeld and Friends.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, holy shit.
He becomes a conservative political rock star, and the proof is shown in the 1994 Republican Revolution. The revolution, led by Congressman Newt Gingrich. Some of you might remember him.
Newt Gingrich. I know Newt Gingrich.
Happens during the midterm elections of 94, when for the first time in 40 years, Republicans win a majority in Congress. So they have not been the majority in Congress for 40 years. It's a major upset for the Democrats, and Republicans in and out of politics knew exactly who to thank. Rush Limbaugh and his legion of ditto heads. Yep. So, this is how popular he was. He's helping the Republicans regain the control that they lost. But just as he's basking in the conservative limelight, America gets rocked by a homegrown terrorist who doesn't quite fit into Limbaugh's carefully crafted worldview.
I wonder who that is.
On April 19, 1995, the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City gets hit by a terrorist attack. The toll is devastating. 168 are confirmed dead, including 19 children. Rush was quick to assume it was a foreign attack and we should respond. Within just 3 days, the FBI tracks down the real terrorist. American-born and bred Timothy McVeigh. His motivation, retaliation for the FBI's handling of the Waco siege in Texas exactly 2 years earlier. He was connected to right-wing militia groups and grew up around Buffalo, New York. Timothy McVeigh represented a number of disenchanted, loner-type white dudes in America who didn't feel connected to anything and felt Rush gave them a voice. Like I said before, he gave a voice to the voiceless, or who felt were the voiceless. Because again, so much of mainstream media is liberally biased. Yeah. So when you see a conservative coming up, it feels like they're giving them a voice. Or as most people say today, representation. So let that be a lesson. Not all representation can be good.
No, it cannot.
Not all. Nope. But here's where Rush fucks up again. Automatically assuming it was a foreign attack.
Yeah.
That's where you fuck up.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No. You gotta get to the basis first and find the evidence if you actually did it.
Now, to an extent I can see why, because, you know, most times when something federal gets attacked, it can be foreign. Not always. Usually domestic attacks are usually minor. This is one of the few that was a major domestic terrorist attack. You know, like most domestic terrorist attacks are like a shooting or something, not blowing up a federal building. So Rush dropped the ball by, again, not fact checking.
Not fact checking at all.
Like I said, check your facts before you open your mouth. Like, as of right now, we don't know who this is. Who's guilty of this. But we hope everyone is okay.
Right.
And we're sorry for the lives that are lost. That's how you handle that. When more evidence comes in, we'll talk. In the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing, as many Americans try to come together and heal, Rush Limbaugh downplays the role that white conservatism played in the tragedy and continues to say we're poking fun at the Clintons. Okay. There's a time and a place for this.
Yes.
This ain't the time.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't...
Blame the Clintons for the Oklahoma City bombing. Good job, Rush.
No, he didn't blame the Clintons. He just makes fun of them. But he's trying to downplay the issue. Like, this was clearly a white conservative that did this. Yeah. Now, do I think conservatism leads to violence? No. And I don't know if that's what they meant by him downplaying it. But you have to acknowledge this person was fucking nuts. And this is when, if you start to see people using your rhetoric for something you don't endorse, you do have to step in and at least say something. Like, hey, it's no secret, I'm a shock jock guy. I don't like liberals. I have very strong conservative values. But I love America. I don't condone Timothy McVeigh's actions. And Timothy, if you are a supporter of mine, you will use your hatred the right way at the ballot box. Because that's
what you can do.
Yeah. Use your hatred there. Keep voting for Republicans if you love Republicans. Keep us in power so we can fight and change the country and stop the liberals from taking it back over. That's how you handle that. Someone like him. Don't try to tell him liberals aren't bad. Ain't gonna get into his head. Just use his hatred and channel it in a way to bring the anger from here to here. Bring it down some notches.
Down.
The pleasure Rush gets from speaking falsehoods is only matched by his love of spreading fake conspiracies. Case in point, Jeff Cohn remembers when Limbaugh tried to pin a fictional murder on Hillary Clinton. Vince Foster was the associate White House counsel who had committed suicide after shooting himself in the back of the head. Okay.
The back of the head.
Oh! Wait till you hear this. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, was my favorite part of this whole thing. Because this goes into something that we all know today as the Clinton body count. Like Zach said earlier, Epstein didn't kill himself. But we got an idea of who did.
Yes, we do.
Because the Clinton body count is something everybody knows. It's one of the reasons why people don't like Hillary. It's because of the fact that the Clintons have been known to mysteriously off people that can bring them down. You know, especially during the whole Watergate scandal and things like that. Like, here's an example. This is literally the list. Vince Foster, we'll start with him. But it was Deputy White House counsel who was found dead in Fort Marcy Park in Virginia outside Washington, D.C. On July 20, 1993, an autopsy determined that he was shot in the mouth and no other wounds were found on his body. His death was ruled a suicide by 5 official investigations, but he remains a subject of conspiracy theories that he was actually murdered by the Clintons for knowing too much. C. Victor Reiser II, National Finance Co-Chairman for Bill Clinton. He died in a plane crash along with his son and 3 others on July 3, 1992 during a fishing trip. Theories believe the crash to have been deliberately caused. However, the National Transportation Safety Board ruled it as an accident, stating the probable cause of the accident was the pilot's delayed decision in reversing course and his failure to maintain airspeed during the maneuver. Factors related to the incident were mountainous terrain and a low ceiling. Mary Mahoney, former White House intern in the early summer of 1997, was gunned down during an attempted robbery inside the Starbucks in the Georgetown suburb of Washington, D.C., where Mahoney was working behind the counter. The robber entered the store and shot Mahoney after she attempted to take his gun. He then shot 2 Starbucks employees and fled. Her conspiracy believed Mahoney was killed on the orders of the Clintons. Seth Rich. The unsolved 2016 murder of Democrat National Committee staff member Seth Rich prompted conspiracy theory specialists to believe that Hillary Clinton arranged his death. The debunked theory was based on a Fox News report, later retracted, that Rich had been responsible for WikiLeaks' release of DNC emails. Various elements of this theory have been promoted by Julian Assange and prominent right-wing figures like Alex Jones, Newt Gingrich, and Sean Hannity. So yeah, people who have information on the Clintons and their dirty deeds, all of them somehow end up dying.
Yep.
All of them either
robberies,
suicide,
plane crashes. Yeah.
Coincidence?
None at all.
I don't think so.
Me neither.
Christopher Syme. Reporter Christopher Syme broke the news of a meeting on June 27, 2016 on the Phoenix Sky Harbor tarmac between former President Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch. The timing of the meeting happened in the 2016 presidential election when then candidate Hillary Clinton was under scrutiny for how she handled certain emails during her tenure as the U.S. Secretary of State. Syme was found dead in his Alabama home on June 12, 2021. His death is being investigated as a suicide.
Another suicide.
Another suicide!
Another suicide, huh? Wow, what a conspiracy.
Several right-wing figures like Lauren Boebert, Dan Bongino, and Charlie Kirk, as well as pro-Trump cable news channel One American News Network, says that Syme had been murdered by the Clintons. Jovenel Moise. Haitian President Jovenel Moise was assassinated on July 7, 2021 when gunmen attacked his residence on Pearland 5, a district of Pétionville. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these right, but I don't speak Haitian. Martine Moise, the First Lady of Haiti, was hospitalized for wounds sustaining during the attack. Some right-wing conspiracy theorists have claimed that the Clintons were involved in Moise's death, pointing to political controversy regarding aid given to Haiti by the Clinton Foundation, such as hurricane-proof classroom trailers that were found to be structurally unsafe and laced with formaldehyde. Followers of the QAnon conspiracy theory claim that Donald Trump is secretly waging war against a cabal of child traffickers that includes the Clintons, heavily discussed the idea that they had a hand in the assassination. Discussion of the unfounded claim caused the term Clintons to become a top trend on Twitter. But I'm just saying, a lot of suicides listed here, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. A lot of people who know shit dropping like flies. And a lot of people are going to sit here and go, Vinny, do you really believe all this? Let me put it this way. I believe this as much as the Trump haters believe that he is a Putin puppet and that he orchestrated the January 6th attack. As sure as you are in that, I am positive in this. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was absurd to think the Clintons would be involved in that.
Oh, absolutely.
But we got 2023 eyes over here.
Yeah.
We know better.
We do.
The conspiracies don't sit well with his more mainstream TV viewers, and in the summer of 1996, his show is canceled. While Rush focuses on his 3-hour radio show, his old friend and soulmate, Roger Ailes, launches Fox News. And now here's where Fox finally gets a news network. Like we said before, when Fox first started, they didn't have a news channel. They were just pumping out entertainment. Now here's where they join the news. Using Rush as the template, Fox spawns a slew of hosts who channel Limbaugh's conservative fury. People like Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, and Glenn Beck. The problem is they didn't have the verve that Rush had, so they weren't quite as good. So these guys were not comedic like Rush. No. They didn't have his humor. They were the straightforward, straight to the point. They were basically saying Rush Limbaugh type stuff without his humor and charisma. So it didn't connect as well.
No. I listened to Sean Hannity a couple of times. I was like,
I have.
I'm like, he made me chuckle a couple of times, and he goes like, I'm at collect.
Yeah, I like Hannity a little bit.
Yeah, I like Hannity.
My only problem with Sean Hannity is that he sees the world as black and white.
Yeah.
There is no gray area with him.
Bullshit.
Then when Bill Clinton leaves the White House, Rush Limbaugh loses his favorite punching bag. And while he's left to reminisce about the evil deeds of Bill and Hillary, Limbaugh will soon find himself in the grip of a vice he spent his career railing against. In 2003, the mainstream media gives Rush Limbaugh yet another chance on TV when ESPN hires him to commentate on NFL football.
Now, how long did that last?
He only lasts a couple of weeks, as he is fired after racial comments made at Donovan McNabb of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Why are you going to give McNabb shit?
Why?
Okay, really? McNabb may not have won a Super Bowl, but he was a fucking good quarterback to me. I like McNabb. I always have.
What? Why?
I don't know.
That was stupid.
And not to mention, you know what else he said?
What?
The NFL's like the Bloods and the Crips. I was like, you fucking moron. I was like,
I remember that.
I was like,
I remember that.
See, this is the problem with you. You need to shut the fuck up.
I mean, here's why that phrase is stupid. Because Rush forgets, like a lot of people forget, there are white people who play football. And I know this is going to sting a little bit.
Uh-oh, here we go.
But the white players are just as good as the black players on that team. Some, not all, but some are actually better. Not all of them are better, but there's a few. Guys in the Hall of Fame.
True.
But Donovan McNabb was actually a really good player. His problem was he played for the Eagles. Now, today, that's not much of a diss because at the time that we're recording this, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. By the time this comes out, the Super Bowl will already be over, so we don't know if they won.
Not yet.
Not yet. At the time we're recording this, the game hasn't happened yet.
Not yet.
So we don't know at the time of this recording who won.
True.
But back then, in the 90s, or even in the early 2000s, you didn't expect the Eagles to win a Super Bowl. They had never won a Super Bowl. They were one of those teams you thought would never win a Super Bowl. Then they finally did. Now they have a shot to win another one. So, if you were going to make fun of Donovan McNabb for anything, it could be the fact that he played the Eagles. Or wait till he had a shitty game. There's no reason to attack him for the color of his skin.
Yeah.
None.
Not at all.
Why would you? Especially, Rush, when the reason you got a radio job in the first place is because the guy before you made racial comments. Now, maybe you think because of your millions and because of your years on radio, you were untouchable, but not in the world of football.
Not in the world of football.
No, not happening.
Not gonna.
It wasn't your world.
Nope.
It was stupid.
It
This was very fucking stupid. Especially Donovan McNabb, because to my knowledge, I don't recall him doing anything shitty. Have you?
No, he was a good quarterback. He makes funny commercials for, I think, Papa John's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Donovan McNabb. I did. I was like, damn, he's a good quarterback.
No, but I mean, like, but as a person.
Yeah, I never heard anything crap.
He didn't rape anybody. He didn't beat his wife. He didn't molest any kids.
No.
You know, he wasn't a bad person.
No, he was not.
So why even attack him? Hell, I liked Donovan McNabb, and I didn't even like the Eagles. They're like my fourth favorite team. Broncos are 1, Giants are 2, 49ers are 3, Eagles are 4, in case you're wondering. 3 years later, in 2006, the king of right-wing media reveals the true depths of his hypocrisy when he's arrested on prescription drug charges. Rush used to rally hard against drug addicts and felt they should be locked up and throw away the key because they have no place in our society.
Hypocrite.
Okay. Look, I've known a lot of people that have drug and alcohol problems. And, you know, I can have sympathy to a degree for someone who has an addiction. However, if you're the type of person who shits on people for being drug addicts and you yourself are a drug addict or become one, it's hard to get sympathy. It would be the equivalent to someone finding out that a person is gay and that gay person spent their entire life being homophobic. If you're gay, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're a person who your whole life has made homophobic comments, homophobic slurs, called for the death of gay people, had hatred towards gay people, and then you get caught in a homosexual encounter, people are going to condemn you and make fun of you for it. Because you're a fucking hypocrite with your statements. So that's really why Rush deserved to be shitted on for being a drug addict. Not because he got hooked on drugs, but because he was so hateful towards drug users. In my opinion, the only drug users that deserve to get shitted on are the people who are on drugs, have done reprehensible things on those drugs, and show no signs of wanting to get clean. Then you deserve to be shitted on. But if you're a person who's been on drugs, done horrible things, but goes to rehab, gets clean, turns your life around, and starts being a better person, then you don't deserve to be condemned for your drug use. Because you turned it around. You got clean. You got better. You're an inspiration to people to show, hey, I don't have to live like this the rest of my life, and if I want to get better, there's life on the other side. And for a lot of drug and alcohol users, they need that hope to get better. Because that's what America should be more about. It should be about redemption. That's one of the major things. If you want to talk about values like we have in the past on this show, you want to talk about a major value that has been lost in America and we desperately need to get back? Redemption. That's what needs to come back. To show that a person who has done bad things can be redeemed if they want it.
True.
Now, if they don't want redemption, fuck them.
If they don't want to get sober, fuck them.
If they don't want to change their ways, if they're bad, fuck them. But if somebody can come out the other side, they shouldn't be deprived that opportunity.
No, they should not.
If somebody drunk wants to get sober, they should be helped. If someone on drugs wants to get off them, they should be helped. He confessed to doctor shopping and cut a deal to avoid jail time and go seek treatment. By the time this happened, his fans were a full-on cult who felt the leader could do no wrong. And that's certainly true when Limbaugh began spreading the falsehood to his listeners that Barack Obama isn't really a natural-born American citizen.
It turns out that he actually is.
Yes. Now, here's another problem we got. Cult following, believing somebody can do no wrong. We see that everywhere. Whether it's celebrities, whether it's on the right or the left or whatever. The minute you start thinking a person can do no wrong, you're out of your fucking mind. I have never in my life thought somebody was perfect in every way. Whether it was a celebrity that I was inspired by, whether it's an athlete, whether it was a family member, whether it was teachers, people on TV. I have never claimed that anybody was perfect. Nobody is. People can make mistakes. People can fuck up. People can do things that are wrong. Never believe that a person can do no wrong. Even in relationships, I never thought that a girlfriend I had was perfect.
Not close.
I've had girlfriends who are flawed. Hell, I'm not fucking perfect, ladies and gentlemen.
Not even close.
Never claimed to be.
Not in sort of way.
I just know I'm a good person at heart. And also, the whole natural born citizen thing, that was a thing going on. Because there were rumors speculating that Barack Obama was a citizen of Kenya. And people found proof of that. Come to find out, Obama was born in Hawaii. So he was born in America. However, his father was Kenyan. And he had dual citizenship in America and in Kenya. Even though technically he never met his father. From what I've heard, he never met his dad. Never knew his dad. So I don't know what happened there, how he got dual citizenship. But he was born in America. They found a birth certificate. And some people got mad that they wanted to see a birth certificate. Look, that is something serious that you have to look into. Because one of the requirements in order to run for President of the United States is you had to have been born in America. You have to be at least 35 years old, and you have to be born in America in order to run. That's why people used to make the joke about Arnold Schwarzenegger never becoming president. Or in Demolition Man when they said, wait a minute, Schwarzenegger was president? Because Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he came to America, he wanted to become the greatest bodybuilder of all time. You know, he won all the world championships, became Mr. Universe. He wanted to become an action movie star. And he became one of the greatest action movie stars of all time. He wanted to be a public servant, so he became governor of the state of California, even though he can't fucking pronounce California.
I heard he sucked.
People didn't like him as a governor. They love him as an actor and as a celebrity, but as a governor, he wasn't perfect.
I heard he.
But he also wanted to be president. And Arnold had achieved so much in his life, he never thought anything was impossible. But for him, that wasn't possible because he was born in Austria. So he could never be president. That's the one goal Arnold Schwarzenegger set that he couldn't reach because he was not born in America. So if it turned out Obama was a citizen of Kenya, he would have been disqualified from the presidency. And it would have went to McCain by default. Because if you're not an American-born citizen, you cannot run. But here's the thing for me. Once it was established he was born in America, I ended it. I was done. Okay, we now know. Okay, we'll move on. But at first I was like, wait. What the fuck's going on here? Did he just steal the election? What the fuck? Then they said he was born in Hawaii. They showed the birth certificate on TV, and I went,
oh, okay.
Hawaii? Oh, that was it. I was like,
I saw it on Facebook. I think Barack Obama was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. Like,
okay. That was it. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. Now I can go back to not caring about politics. Then in 2020, Rush Limbaugh announces that he has stage 4 lung cancer and that he won't be spending as much time on the air. He also receives the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the 2020 State of the Union address. And
oh boy, that pissed off a lot of people.
Yes, it did.
I was thinking about my poor mother and father up in California.
Dude,
oh boy.
He was crying. They put the medal on him. Dude, I watched that State of the Union address. I remember that night. That was fucking epic.
Yeah, it was. Was that the same State of the Union address that Nancy Pelosi tore at the State of the Union address?
I think it was. I'm not sure. It was either that or the one before that.
I think it was that one.
Yeah.
It was that one.
I remember it was also the same one where he was talking about all the accomplishments he had made and how everybody was basically sitting on their hands. Or at least there were these, on the liberal side, there were these women that were just sitting on their hands the whole time. Just folding their arms, not listening when he talked about unemployment rate being the lowest it's ever been, lower in the black community than it's ever been, lower in the Mexican community than it's ever been. And he said, we have more women serving in Congress than ever before. And as soon as they did that, they were all breakdancing and shit. Yay, because we're selfish and all about ourselves. That was it. That's when they started celebrating.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he's talking about me now.
Yay!
A selfish politician? I perish the thoughts.
Yes,
But
him, never.
And the reason I laughed at that, everybody saw that was a fucking disgrace. But you know what made me laugh about that? So many people shit on Rush Limbaugh for getting the Medal of Freedom. But keep in mind, these are the same motherfuckers who clapped when Caitlyn Jenner won Woman of the Year. And she was only a woman for 4 months out of the year. I'm just saying, if you clapped when Caitlyn Jenner got Woman of the Year, you are in no position to get mad at Rush Limbaugh for getting the Medal of Freedom. I'm fucking sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry, you're not. You're not. Knock it the fuck off. Get the fuck off my TV. That was fucking hilarious. And then, of course, eventually, Rush Limbaugh did pass away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't like him, but I was like, there's way more worse people out there than Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, and I guess
way worse.
And he was also a big deal in radio.
Yeah,
he gave the conservative people a voice.
Just in the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, in a fucked up way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the wrong way. I would say he didn't express it in the healthiest of ways at times. But he did give a voice to the Republicans. So I can understand him getting a Medal of Freedom because he was all about freedom of expression and gave an entire party who was being ignored a platform to speak. I can't think of anything more representative of freedom than that.
Yeah, sure.
Now, before we officially wrap this up, I did have a few things I wanted to address here. I have a list at some of the jokes Rush Limbaugh told. We're going to go down these and find out just how offensive they really were. While employed as what he describes as an insult radio DJ, he used a derogatory racial stereotype to characterize a black caller he could not understand, telling the caller to take that bone out of your nose and call me back. Although he expressed guilt over this when recounting it. So, here's what we'll say about this. Not funny, in bad taste, fucking stupid. But he had remorse. And I believe him, and the reason I believe him is because Rush Limbaugh was not known to apologize for shit. So I think if he's apologizing for something, he genuinely felt bad about it. Now, if he was somebody who apologized after every bad thing he did, I wouldn't believe his apology. So, he apologized for it, he admits he fucked up, so we'll strike that off the record. In March 2010, Limbaugh used the similarity of recently resigned Republican Eric Massa's surname, the slavery-era African-American pronunciation of Master, to make a pun on the possibility that Governor David Paterson, New York's first African-American governor, would pick Massa's replacement. So the guy's last name, his name is Eric Massa. So he says, let's assume you're right, to the caller. So David Paterson will become the Massa who gets to appoint whoever gets to take Massa's place. So for the first time in his life, Patterson's going to be a Massa? Interesting. Okay. That's funny. Come on. He's playing off the guy's last name is Massa.
Yeah.
You can have fun with that.
Yes, you can.
Any comedian would have had fun with that.
Yes.
Gator would have had fun with that.
Fucking field day.
Here's your bitch ready. He gets to pick the Massa.
Okay.
He gets to pick the Massa.
Okay.
I'm an Alabama. What?
No.
What?
No.
What's your problem? What?
No. Bad Gator.
Apparently Zach don't like people from Alabama.
No.
But yeah, that's a funny joke. I'm sorry, that's good. Come on. You can't not laugh at that. You don't have a pulse if you didn't laugh at that. He said of the genocide of Native Americans, Holocaust 90 million, Indians only 4 million left. They all have casinos. What's to complain about?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that was
bad taste.
Let's not do that.
No.
Let's not do that.
No, the Native Americans have a right to hate the white man in this country than any other part.
They
people.
do. They
hate us. I understand why.
Yeah.
I'm a Native American. The first thing I'm going to say, I am so sorry that what we did.
I'm not apologizing. I didn't kill anybody. Not my responsibility. But if you're one of those white people that feels guilty and wants other people to feel guilty, here's some advice I'll give to you. Go to a reservation, find a Native American, bring them to your house, let them live in your house, and you go take their spot on the reservation. Okay? If you feel we stole land from the Native Americans, here's what you can do. Give them yours. If you feel that guilty about it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, spouting off of the mouth on social media is not helping the Native Americans feel any better.
Nope. Now,
they're not complaining anymore because they got the casinos and they're making their money back. But that was not a funny joke. The genocide of Native Americans was horrible.
Yeah, it was very
I acknowledge it was horrible.
Tears,
but I'm not apologizing for it because I didn't kill nobody, neither did anybody in my family tree. Now, Limbaugh asserted in 2008 that African Americans and conscious other minority groups are left behind socially because they have been systematically trained from a young age to hate the United States because of the welfare state. What?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
That's stupid.
That don't make no goddamn sense.
None.
I do believe they've been trained to hate America, but I don't think it's because of the welfare state.
No.
That's not it. That was stupid. Limbaugh expressed anti-LGBT views and viewed homosexual sexual practices as unhygienic. He made serophobic statements about HIV/AIDS in the 1980s, 95, and 1990s. He called the virus Rock Hudson's disease and the only federally protected virus. For a time, Dionne Warwick's song I'll Never Love This Way Again preceded reports about people with HIV/AIDS on the radio show. These later became condom updates, preceded by the Fifth Dimension song Up, Up, and Away. Okay, the condom thing is kind of funny. Some of them can be unhygienic. Here's the thing. Sex, period, can be unhygienic. I will say this. If you're homosexual, you invented eating ass.
Okay, I'm on... No. I'll walk away. I quit.
Zach, sit your ass back down.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just sit your ass back down. Alright. But I'm just saying that they were the inventors of that, because I don't think straight people were doing that yet. Then again, I wasn't around during that time, so I don't know what the hell. Well, I was around, but I wasn't having sex during that time, so I don't know. But sex, period, can be unhygienic. So that's not really that bad a statement. I will say, Rock Hudson's disease, I'm not getting it.
Either.
And the only federally protected virus, I don't get that either. I don't know, I'm ignorant to that shit.
Same.
But the condom updates, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is pretty
That's kind of funny, I'm sorry. Not gonna lie.
It's kind of funny.
Okay. Limbaugh defended President Reagan's response to the HIV/AIDS epidemic and falsely claims that AIDS did not spread to the heterosexual community in the United States. When Freddie Mercury died of complications from AIDS in 1991, Limbaugh played a snippet of Another One Bites the Dust. In the early 1990s, Limbaugh ran a recurring segment, AIDS Update, which mocked the deaths of gay individuals from HIV/AIDS. During the 70s, he would play songs like I'll Never Love This Way Again and Johnny Lee's Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. The Los Angeles Times reported that Limbaugh said gays deserve their fate. Limbaugh later called the segment the single most regretful thing I have ever done. Okay, so he had remorse for it. I can give credit for that, because it was fucked up. And definitely, as we've mentioned many times on this show, you can be heterosexual and still get AIDS. It was more prominent in the gay community, but straight people caught it too. Magic Johnson and many others. You can catch it by having unprotected sex. Anybody can catch it. But because gay people can be more promiscuous and not really wear protection, it spreaded more through there.
Yes, it has.
That's just statistics. That's not even me talking. But yeah, this whole thing was kind of fucked up, but at least he says, look, I should never have done this. So, he regretted it. He apologized. He's acknowledged his wrongdoing. So, because he has remorse, I can give this a pass. If he didn't have remorse, this would be in the condemned list.
Yes.
In 2013, Limbaugh commented on same-sex marriage by saying, this issue is lost. I don't care what the Supreme Court does. This is inevitable, and it's inevitable because we lost the language on this. As far as I'm concerned, once we started talking about gay marriage, traditional marriage, opposite-sex marriage, same-sex marriage, hetero marriage, we lost it. It was over. February 2020, Limbaugh predicted that Pete Buttigieg would not be able to win the 2020 presidential election because of his homosexuality. Okay, I don't really see the offense here.
Me neither.
I think he's just trying to make a point that marriage in general is lost. Not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I mean, I think marriage, period, is goddamn ridiculous, but it has nothing to do with introducing same-sex marriage.
No.
It has to do with the fact that women collect everything in a divorce. That's what I think caused marriage to go down the drain. Because now, like I said before, I've mentioned it many times. Hell, last variety show we did, I mentioned it. For men, it's a gamble. For women, it's a second retirement plan.
Yep.
And I even watch videos where, like, people try to convince you not to get married without a prenup because you don't, if you're already dooming the marriage to fail, why even get married in the first place? I'll tell you why. because the woman keeps saying, we're not a real couple unless you put a ring on it. Because that's the delusion people live in. You have to be married in order to be a real couple. The only thing marriage does is make you a couple on paper. That's why they say marriage is just a piece of paper. Because that's the only difference between a married couple and a couple who lives together. Mm-hmm. There's a piece of paper that says, I'm family. I can visit him in the hospital. And a lot of y'all are obsessed with hospitals, apparently. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't visit him in the hospital. Unless I'm dying, I don't need you to come visit me in the hospital.
A lot of it has to do with COVID shit.
Well, I'm saying even today, that was the reason you couldn't see somebody in the hospital was COVID. Yeah. I feel bad for the gay couples on that one. Because most of the time when they were talking about wanting to get married when they were to be a gay couple was so I could visit my partner in the hospital. Then COVID rolls around, now you can't fucking go. That's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of funny a little bit. This isn't, but that what I just said was kind of funny when you think about it. But he would not win because of his homosexuality. Well, did he win?
No.
That's not offensive. Nope. He was right. Yep. He didn't win.
No, he did not.
Limbaugh dismissed the concept of consent in sexual relations. He viewed consent as the magic key to the left. In 2014, Limbaugh criticized a policy at Ohio State University encouraging students to obtain verbal consent, saying, how many of you guys have learned that no means yes if you know how to spot it? Okay. Poor choice of words.
Very poor.
But I do understand where he's coming from. Now, is this the magic key to the left? No, it's not. There is nothing wrong with wanting consent. It's important. You should have it. Or about obtaining verbal consent. Today, you definitely want it. Like, people say, oh, he's so nice, he asked for consent. No, he's covering his ass. Don't be stupid. But the no means yes if you know how to spot it. There is some truth to that. Because it's like, and Bill Burr did a joke similar to this, where people say no means no. He's like, no, it doesn't. It depends on the delivery. It would be like if, I'll use it as an example. Zach, try to touch my arm. No!
Okay.
That's a clear no.
Okay.
Try it again. No, stop it.
I see what you mean.
Quit it.
Yeah, I get it.
You're so bad. That's a yes. That type of no is basically saying, I don't want to appear easy, so we got to play this little game, but yes, I want it. That's a clear yes if you can spot it. So I get what Rush is trying to say there. That's why I'm not condemning this. Because I can see the context of what he meant. But if you're just reading the sentence, it is a poor choice of words. He should have established more on this. Or I don't know if he did, and the person who cited this just chose to stop there. But I get what he means by that. Yeah. Like it's like when I had an ex-girlfriend. I won't say her name, but there were times we would be out in public and we were dating. We've been having sex, and we were very physical. But she didn't really like PDA that much. I don't either. But every now and then I would do something where I'd be like giving her a hug, and sometimes I would like grab her ass, and she would always go, quit it. Like, she wasn't like pushing me off like I was being perverted. She was just saying, look, normally I like it when you grab my ass, but we're in public. She would even say, we are in public. But she would say it in a way where it's like, look, I love it when you grab my ass, but don't grab it here. I don't want to do that in public. Wait till we get home and then grab my ass. So that's what that means. It's little games that people like to play because no one wants to appear easy to get. So you play these little coy teasing games that girls like to play. They want to play hard to get. They want to play these little games to make you work for it, which in some cases can be cute and sexy, and other times can be a pain in the ass. True. But it's cute if you know how to spot it. Yes. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee used these statements to advocate a boycott of Limbaugh's show and advertisers, asserting the statements were tantamount to an endorsement of sexual assault. Clearly they're not. Limbaugh denied this, and his spokesman, Brian Glicklick, and lawyer Patricia Glazer threatened a defamation lawsuit against the DCCC. According to spokesperson Emily Bittner, the DCCC did not receive any correspondence from Limbaugh or his attorney. They tried to fuck him on this and failed. Limbaugh was critical of feminism, which he viewed as advancing only liberals and not women in general. In a newspaper column, he stated that it was established that unattractive, ugly broads could have easy access to the mainstream of society. He has criticized Democrat congressmen calling for more women in Congress hypocritical due to the opposition to female Republican candidates. And this is what I talked about earlier in the show. I said I was going to get to this. Here it is right here. This is the funny part of why no one takes feminist movements or representation seriously. Because you only want it if it's people on the left. Like, why can't a black man run for president? He can if he's a Democrat. But if he's a Republican, he tries to run, y'all want to shut him down immediately. It's like they only want black people to advance if you're in their party and on their team. If you're a Democrat, you're inspirational. If you're a Republican, you're an Uncle Tom. How many times do you hear that get thrown around to black people in the Republican Party? There are so many, like the people who claim to be against racism will throw racial slurs at a Republican black person. They have been called all types of discriminatory black phrases by liberals just for voting Republican and having a mind of their own. Yeah. Or if you like, that we want a woman president, but if she's on the Republican side, women won't even touch her. Like, that's the hypocrisy. You want equality for women, you want to uplift women, but what you're really saying is we want to uplift liberal women. We want to uplift Democrat women. We want to uplift women who vote left on everything. If you have a Republican mindset, no, we don't want that woman. You stay in the kitchen. You belong. Exactly. That's how fucking sick they are. Yeah. And the ugly broads getting access to mainstream society. We pretty much talked about that in the Secrets of the Runway video. Sums that up. The fact they got rid of the beauty part of the beauty pageant. Mm-hmm. And that's why you see like plus size women in pageants. And there are some big girls that are sexy. But there's a lot that aren't. Some women know how to work it. A lot of women do not know how to work it. I know because I've met both. I've slept with both. And God help me on the unattractive ones. Hadn't been laid in a while. Sometimes you get desperate. Told you I wasn't perfect. So basically, there were a few times he said some fucked up things. Yeah. But overall, a lot of stuff he said was out of context. Yeah. There was some humor in what he was saying. And there was also some truth. Yeah. A lot of times, he's firing truth missiles. Now, in the 90s, you might not have been able to see it. Yep. Today, you can clearly fucking see it. Yep. So, I don't think Rush Limbaugh was as dangerous or as horrible as everybody made him out to be. Did he make mistakes? Yeah. Yes.
Way more worse people than him.
Way more worse people that have done way worse things.
Yeah, said worse things.
Have said worse things, have done worse things, have been way more deplorable on either side of the coin. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, he gave a voice to a group that was voiceless. Some of them were rational. Mm-hmm. Some of them lost their fucking minds. True. You can say that about any group. That, ladies and gentlemen, will wrap up Boochcast Reviews, Darkside of the 90s. Zach, as always, thank you for taking time here to join us. Tune in next week. We got a hell of a great show for you guys. It's going to be crazy. This one's going to be called Y2K, Paranoia Will Destroy Ya. So, yeah, so make sure you guys follow us on all of our podcast platforms. Links down in the description box below. Follow us on our social media platforms. Links down in the description box below. Support the Boochcast. Go to anchor.fm/theboochcast/support. That link will be down in the description box below. And, of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Boochcast Reviews Darkside of the 90s, as well as other additional Boochcast YouTube content. We'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, pizza, baby!